Hi everyone. So I wanted to share what I use for my skin, hair care, and we just had a recent conversation and how prominent it is for a hair loss, especially for women. I personally have experienced that, and that could be related to so many different things. So there are different factors such as genetics or thyroids, but I went through that, and I was in a time where I started seeing receding hairline, and one of the ARNPs told me to try minoxidil. So I started using that product, which was not very cost effective, but also did not help me much. So I would see some results, but the minute you stop using that product, your hair loss continues. So actually that didn't really produce very good results. So I was suggested to use Rogaine, which is for men, but I started getting hair in very weird places, so I stopped using Rogaine. And I started searching how I can have my hair back, and there wasn't much I could have done. I took vitamins, folic acid, but nothing seemed to help. And I remember one day I was at the nursing home, and we had this bath aide who would come twice a week. She was this African American woman full of life, and the way she gave baths to those clients was just lovable. She did it with such a joy and love that you thought, oh, I wish somebody could give us a bath like that. And one day I remember she brought this man who was probably in his early 80s, and she says, honey, look, your baby hair are growing. And I asked her what she was using for a shampoo, and she was using this product. It's the Biolage Hydro Source, and this is a product of U.S.A., and it's a very good shampoo, and actually does produce baby hair. And what I like about this is it is sulfate, paraben, all chemical-free shampoo. So you're probably thinking I'm crazy because I got 3 of them. And the reason why I got all 3, because I find myself many times when I buy things, either they get discontinued or I no longer am able to find the same product. So, and also when you buy it in bulk, it usually comes in discounts. So it's a great investment, especially if it's something has to do with my hair. And I started noticing my baby hair growing back. So I would definitely recommend this. I'm not sure if they produce this overseas. Most likely, even if they do, it's probably not the authentic product. But this definitely works for me, and I have seen it work with elderly clients. So I'm happy to see some baby hair growing. Also, some of you mentioned that, Olga, you often contradict yourself in your other videos. You said that Soviet products were not very good, but at the same time you mentioned that how this particular people use their fan for 35 years. Okay, let me make some clarification. Yes, they kept their fan for 35 years, but the condition it was in, the pillars were halfway broken. Instead of going 5 miles per hour, the machine was circling probably 1 mile per hour, barely moving, but they still kept it, and they never replaced it in those over 30 years. And I'm not trying to be judgmental, because I know also seniors do not make much money there, but for 35 years, seeing that broken machine barely making turns and still keeping such product and not replacing, I think it has to do a lot with the way people think. Also, you could also say that's a stereotype. It might be a stereotype, but if you take a sample from any culture and apply to majority of them, I don't think that's a stereotype. There is a lot truth to it. And if that's how the culture operates, I wouldn't call it a stereotype. So anyways, that's about that. So I also have this honey miracle hair mask. It's also chemical free, paraben sulfate. I'm a little bit lazy with hair masks, but if I use it, I typically use this one. And again, I don't know if they have this one overseas, but you can check it online. So for skin products, this is the only lotion you can find overseas because it has written in the back in Russian, English, and French. And it's product of England. It's called Grace Cole. So this one you could definitely find it online. And this is also paraben free. And it smells quite refreshing and nice. Also for my hairstyling cream, I use Wen. I remember seeing this back, I don't remember which year I was back home, but they had this type of products, but it was completely fake. But the one you get from US, it's a great product to use for your hair. And also another cost-effective option is Aveeno. It works just as great for skincare, and it's not as expensive. And then for my facial cream, I use Milky Foam Cleanser. Again, I don't know if you can find that over there or not. But I also make my own soaps because, there's skin issues that's happening like eczema. And I feel like homemade soaps are the best, although I would not be making another batch because the lye that you use in your hot soap making process is very dangerous, and you have to be very careful in terms of accurately using amounts. Mine exploded, so thankfully my house did not explode, but so it's not the safest procedure to make, especially when you're just a starter. But I have made those and I use those. They're really great. So it consists of oils, like you could use argan oil, almond oil, olive oil, coconut oil, pretty much any oil of your choice. You can experiment and see which one goes well with your skin. And also you can put in like lavender essential oil, cinnamon oil, whatever choice that you have for yourself. So those are the soaps that I make. Again, this is not very cheap either, because when you buy all these oils online, usually with 8-ounce oils, depends on the oil too, it can get really pricey. But if you're looking into natural option, I would definitely recommend this. And I also make my own lip balms. So for that, I use beeswax, and I have cocoa butter, and I have emulsifying wax. So there is a great family member who makes her own lotions and butters, and at times she also shares this with us, and it's the best thing you could ever have on your skin. So in future times, I'll be making my homemade balms, and I'll try to make a video because I rather use something that's natural on my skin, just like I mentioned it. So maybe I'll make a video to show you how I do this. And then they said that when you age, you typically go back to your childhood, and that is so true, because just the other day, remember those sarafan chikis we used to wear all the time? Yeah, I came across this, and it's just reminded me of us wearing this type of clothing which I don't typically see this here very often. So I thought, no, those are our Sarafine chickies. I don't know what they're called in English, but yeah. So yeah, this is what I use for my hair, and it does work with regrowth of the hair. And again, I don't know if you can find this over there, but if you do, I definitely recommend it. Okay.